Let's see, time now is 6:46. So changes to self-isolation rules in England and Northern Ireland come into effect today. What that means is that far fewer people will have to quarantine if they have been in contact with someone with COVID.
Yeah, people in England and Northern Ireland who are fully vaccinated will no longer have to automatically self-isolate. Similar rules are already in place in Scotland and Wales. For more on this, let's speak to our regular GP on a Monday morning, Dr. Nighat Arif. Morning, lovely to speak to you as ever. So these are actually quite big changes, aren't they?
Yeah, so in England today, from the 16th of August, it comes into effect that if you've been in contact and you're double with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19 and you're double vaccinated, then you don't have to self-isolate for 10 days, which will actually mean fantastic news for lots of businesses. And actually, if I'm completely honest with you, a lot of my patients were getting frustrated. They would say to me, I've been double vaccinated, Dr. Arif, why, and I'm asymptomatic, why am I self-isolating? So in a way, having this rule come in was inevitable. The same goes for if you're 18 and below. If you've been in contact with people who have tested positive, then you don't need to self-isolate. The rules is that you still do need to have a PCR test as soon as possible. That's the wording. And you don't need to self-isolate whilst you're waiting for the results to come back if you're asymptomatic. The question is whether people will get a PCR test, because, again, I'm getting lots of hesitancy from my patients who just don't want to have a PCR test, even when they're symptomatic. And that is causing a bit of a problem in general practice for us.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can you unpick why they don't want to do that at all?
So I'll give you an example. Last week I was duty doctor and I had over 90 telephone calls and triaging my patients to make sure who needed to have a review. And I've got sneezing, I've got sinusitis symptoms, I've got a cough that's come on, I've got a new temperature. And I would say, well, have you had a PCR test? And they would say, no, I've done a lateral flow test at home and that was negative, so I've not got COVID. The lateral flow tests that you're doing at home, they are notoriously you get false negatives for that. And they should only be used if you are not symptomatic twice weekly. A PCR test is the one that you go and have through the booking system. And that's if you are symptomatic. But the patients are saying, well, I don't want to self-isolate. I don't want to lose work. This is tiring, the whole system problem with COVID-19. I've been double vaccinated. Why should I go and get a PCR test? And I always get patients saying, Dr. Arif, the cough that I've got is not a COVID cough. So I'll say, how do you know it's not a COVID cough? Well, I just know it's not because I don't feel unwell. And that is the problem that we're getting to, because people just feel that they're frustrated by all the rules and the regulations that we've had. And actually, they want to get on with their lives. And the vaccination program, we've always said, will allow you to do that, to get on with your life. And so therefore, people are just saying, well, I'd rather do that than have a test that is positive, and then I'll be isolating again.
Let's also talk about the vaccination programme. Are you OK, by the way?
Yeah, sorry. I need a cup of tea. Hang on, let me just get a cup of tea.
I'll ask you a question while you do that. We know that the jab is being offered to 16 and 17-year-olds. What do you expect uptake to be like of that?
Oh, do you know what? I've just had great news on that. Last week, again, I was as the news was coming out, and I was talking to A-level and GCSE students last week, and they were all for it. We've had uptake phenomenally through the roof in Buckinghamshire, and I know that's the case across the country and other places because I've heard tweets about it. So it's really lovely. And I was talking to a 16-year-old girl who was getting her GCSE results, and I said to her, that's brilliant that you want to get the vaccine. What's the reason? And she said, 1, well, I want to protect myself. 2, I want to protect my loved ones because I've got some relatives who are in a clinically vulnerable group. And 3, I want to get on with my life. I want to be able to go and do my A-levels. The school process, being schools closed, not being able to go to university, not being able to get on with your daily lives, your freedoms that you want, they've all been hindered. And actually, she said something really interesting. She said, we have lots of other vaccines at school already, such as the HPV or the TB vaccine. And that's really because we're healthy adults and we want to protect ourselves for the future and those around us. And so that is fantastic. That's exactly what we need. And there is lots of misinformation on social media. The worry was that younger people who are fitter will say, well, I don't need it. But they are, so far, quite positive, and from what I'm hearing, taking up the vaccine, which is great news.
And as far as we understand at the moment, for them, the 16 and 17-year-olds, they're only being offered one vaccine, aren't they, at this point?
Yeah, just one vaccine. Remember, we've also got the flu vaccination program that's going to be rolled out from the 31st of August. And we've got a bigger group. So year 7s to year 11s are also being vaccinated. We're already going to get A-level students and GCSE students vaccinated. And then if you're in a clinically vulnerable group, 6 months to 50-year-old who will be also offered the flu vaccination program. So the hope is that we've had, I mean, get this, 75% of the adult population, 18 and above, have been vaccinated in this country. There is a small but significant amount, 75%, who haven't been vaccinated. But if we keep going the way we are, hopefully we should be able to get a control on the virus and not have any future restrictions or lockdowns. That's the hope.
OK, Nighat Arif, lovely to speak to you as ever. Thank you very much. Take care.
6:52 the time now.